everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are super well and staying safe. Welcome back to another episode of my mental health series. Before I start, I just wanted to say I am not a trained therapist. I'm literally sharing my own experience in the hope that it inspires you guys, offers you support, and just raises awareness of mental health, because it's not spoken about enough. And yeah, I just want to offer comfort to you guys if any of you are experiencing anxiety, any situations, depression, anything, any sort of negative thoughts that you're having. I just wanted to kind of be here for you guys and say it's okay, it's normal, and yeah, please don't suffer in silence. But if you are really struggling and it is an emergency, then please check the description box below. I have linked lots of amazing websites and numbers of people that you can reach out to that will offer you some support and help. So, thought this week we would do a Q&A because I know I've had a lot of messages about how to find a therapist, how much it costs, what the sessions are like, and also a few personal questions. So I thought I would kind of answer 10 key questions that have come up quite a lot. And yeah, let's get to it. So number one, and I think this is probably the most asked question, is how to find a therapist. How do you find a therapist? So I have actually spoken to my therapist about this, and she gave me an amazing website to use. So it's called Counselling Directory, and I think it's specifically UK based, but you can pop on there and you can pick whether you want to do an in-person or online session. You can choose whether they are male or female. You can choose where they are located. You can pinpoint it so that they're near to where you live, and it's just an amazing site, and you can really go through and be very selective. I believe there's photos of the counsellors as well on there, so that's probably a great starting point if you're based in the UK, to go onto that website and just check your local area, see if there's anyone close to you, or maybe you don't feel comfortable doing it in person, and that's absolutely fine. You can do it online. So there's online counsellors on there. So yeah, that's just a great website, and I think a great starting point if you are wanting to seek therapy. Then it kind of goes on to, so finding a therapist, you can do that part, but it's actually finding the right one. So I think it's important to really read up on what the therapist specialises in. So my therapist specialises in psychotherapy, and that is kind of linking emotions and feelings to past experiences and just kind of making those emotional links and connections. And personally, that type of therapy has helped me tremendously. So definitely look into the different types of therapy there are, what your therapist that you're looking into specialises in, and whether you think that it's something that would help you. And then once you've found somebody, you might not click with them, and that is absolutely okay. Be honest with them. They will not get offended whatsoever. They want what is right for you, and your best interests are at their heart. So yeah, please don't be offended by switching up therapists and saying to one, I just didn't feel comfortable with you, I'm gonna seek another therapist. So yeah, do not worry about that. You want to find someone that's right for you. So whether you feel more comfortable talking to a female or a male, whatever works for you, and they will be able to guide you and help you. A lot of therapists might be part of a big community, or might be freelance. They might be able to recommend somebody else. So definitely be honest and open with them. And yeah, they want the best for you at the end of the day. So definitely finding the right therapist for you is important. The way I found mine, I went to Google and I typed in counsellor, therapist in my local area, and one came up very near to me. And I phoned them up. I phoned them up and just explained that I was looking for help, looking for a counsellor. They said what kind of situation it was that I needed help with. So I just said it was family like situation. It's my relationship with my mum. And they said, okay, cool, I will find someone who's available in the centre and I'll get them to give you a ring back. And then I spoke to this lady and I just was like, yeah, I'm going to go with you. That's absolutely fine. And to be honest, the first thing she did say to me was, if you're not comfortable with me, then we can find someone else in the centre that you can have a session with. But after a while, I kind of was used to talking to her and I just stuck with it. That's just me personally. I just stuck with it. And I felt like if I had changed, maybe I wouldn't have continued. So I'm glad I just stuck with that one therapist. And yeah, that worked for me anyway. So kind of moving on from that question is, how much does it cost? So at the centre that I go to, the prices range from £25 for 1 hour to £65 for an hour. So they are 1 hour sessions and I go every week. So I get one a week. Sometimes I might have to cancel or they might have to cancel, but it's 1 day a week, every week at the same time. So it's kind of like part of my routine now. And I kind of work my diary around my counselling session. It has changed days and it has changed times, but that's my therapist kind of organising that with me and seeing if I'm okay with it. You know, she's always checks in and makes sure I'm okay before changing anything, and if I'm not comfortable then she wouldn't do it. So it's honestly, it's so great how they work. They really work for you and they don't want to make you do anything that you're uncomfortable with. So yeah, so I do mine once a week, every week, and I pay £45 a week. So the price depends on the experience of your therapist. So the £25 ballpark is somebody that's less experienced, maybe they've just graduated, but yeah, that's kind of recently new into the therapy world, and that is your £25 ballpark. And then the more experienced, the more expensive it gets. So I've kind of gone in the mid, but my therapist worked particularly great with family kind of relationships, which is why I think the centre put her forward for me and my mental health issues that I've been having. So, following on from that, what do the sessions look like? A lot of you guys have asked this, and actually I think it's a great question to ask because I don't really know what the sessions would be like. I only have seen counselling sessions in movies and TV shows. Are they like that? They actually are. You sit in a quite peaceful, homely setting. That's what my centre is personally like. Obviously, I can't vouch for them all, but my centre is very homely, kind of warm, inviting setting. There's actually a waiting room in the centre before you go into the room with your therapist, and they just play really nice classical music. It's quite calming. And yeah, then I get taken up to the room with my therapist, and we literally do sit on armchairs and we talk. And yeah, and then we have my session, which lasts for an hour. Obviously, COVID now, so it looks a bit different. I now do online Zoom sessions with my counsellor, and I sit in my bedroom, so I'm super relaxed, super comfortable. It's like a nice environment for me to be in, a nice setting. And actually, I feel like I have actually weirdly opened up a little bit more being at home and having it on a video call. I don't know why, but maybe that's also because I've obviously been having my therapy for longer and longer now, because it's going to be 2 years this August. So a year and a half. So I don't know whether that is obviously something as well. I'm just getting more comfortable as the sessions go on. So I don't know whether that's kind of to do with it or whether it is the fact that I feel a bit more comfortable at home now. I'm not really sure. But yeah, I'm happy to do it at home, and I've been getting on really well with it. And I still do it once every week. So another question that people have asked about the sessions is, do I make notes and write down what I want to discuss before I go into my session with my therapist? And yeah, I mean, if that works for you, great. That's absolutely fine. I think that's a really good idea to do. Write down little notes. Personally, for me, I think I lead such a busy schedule and lifestyle that I will try and give myself, 15 minutes before my session to sit down and kind of reflect on what I want to talk about in that session. Normally, it would be my walk to the centre. I would kind of think in my head about what I wanted to talk about and reflect on my past week, because obviously I have a week in between each session, so sometimes a lot can happen, sometimes not really much can happen. But now obviously with COVID, I give myself about 15 minutes beforehand to just reflect on the past week, think about what I want to say. Sometimes I will find myself in a situation in the middle of the week leading up to my session where I'm like, oh, I want to discuss this, so I'll just kind of make a mental note. But if it works for you to write it down, then that is honestly a great thing. But for me personally, I just kind of like to think about it in my head, and then I kind of, then I go into my session. And then after every session, me and Robin actually kind of sit and have a little bit of a discussion about what my session was about. He always asks me about it, and I kind of open up a little bit more. And it's great for him because obviously, I live with him, he's my husband, he's learning more about me whilst I'm learning about myself, and it's great. It's really, helping our relationship. So, always after my sessions kind of recap with Robin about it, and then I let it go and I move on with my week. And again, if things arise, then I'll make a mental note before my following session the week after. So, how long did it take for therapy to work for me? So this will actually be different for everybody. Some people might have a situation that they might need to talk to somebody for a couple of weeks. It might be long term, a few years. Like, it totally depends on your situation, how well you're coping with the therapy. It totally just depends on you and what you're going through and whether you feel like you want to continue or not. Like, I've had this conversation with my therapist recently. She said, we're getting to a point now where are you happy continuing? Like, do you want to stop soon? Like, she's obviously left it up to me, but she's asking me the questions because obviously, it's been a year and a half now. But I said, because of COVID, I feel like I've not really been able to put to test kind of all my therapy with my mum. So I'm kind of holding out to have more experiences and more one-to-one and more situations with my mum and my family until I will feel comfortable to let my therapy go. But for now, I'm really happy I've had it through COVID, if I'm honest with you. Like, it's helped me. It's given me an outlet every week because it's tough in lockdown, which you guys will know. So I'm glad I've had my sessions through COVID and I've been so grateful to have had those. But I'd say a turning point for me was probably nearing up to a year into it. I had started I was at the point where I had learned a lot about myself. I was starting to have more of an open mind and a bit more of a different way of thinking. I was kind of really reflecting and trying to look outside of my situation and linking past experiences and understanding the links and where they came from and understanding me as a person, how I react to situations, where my negative thoughts arise from. So I think, that was a turning point for me in terms of learning a lot about myself. And then it kind of moved me into thinking about my mum and her past experiences and how that affected her. And I'd say that was a key turning point for me because that is what made me reach out to my mum again and make that connection and kind of restart that relationship. So I'd say that was probably a key turning point for me. However, I started learning stuff about myself after, I'd say, 5 or 6 sessions, and it was eye-opening. I was like, hang on a minute, I've just told her this and she's linked that to this, and oh my god, my mind is blown. So I'd say, it does start working after a couple of weeks, but again, it's whether you want it to work, because for me it didn't work for the first 4 weeks because I was so adamant that I wanted my therapist to tell me that my mum had bipolar or had a personality disorder, or I wanted something concrete to latch onto so I knew I wasn't going crazy. But actually, that isn't what I actually needed. I actually needed to help myself and learn about myself to let all that anger go and the blame towards my mum, for me to actually realise I needed help. And actually, hang on a minute, if I've gone through all this and I can link this to a past experience, What about my mum? So I think I just needed a new perspective, a new way of thinking. I needed to work on myself internally before even thinking about my relationship with my mum. I never realised that I internally needed help, but I'm so glad that I realised that after that, fourth, fifth session, and I stuck at it. It was really difficult at times, but I stuck at it, and yeah, it helped a lot. So this also kind of links on is how have I kept motivated at sticking with therapy? Because, at times it's been difficult. And I think for me, I've got one of those personalities it's a bit awkward. Like when you go and get your hair done at the hairdressers and they mess it up, they cut it too short, or they've not done it quite right. I'm that person that won't say anything and I'll go home and cry because I find it so awkward with those situations. So I'm that type of person that would just go home and be like, oh my God, this hairdresser's ruined my hair. And I feel like it's the same with therapy, that I have felt like I felt like I've just continued it because it's too awkward to cancel it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've just stuck at it because it's been too awkward to be like, actually, I don't really want this anymore. I'm going to cancel it. So I've just forced myself to stick at it. Like, there's times where it's been really hard and I've sat with Robin in my living room crying because it's hard. I didn't want to learn about myself anymore. There was parts where I was like, oh, I'm really enjoying learning about myself. Wow, making these links, and oh my God, like I never knew like that was that. And then there was times where I was crying because it was difficult. I was learning difficult things. It was becoming real. I was, reaching different emotions that I didn't want to reach. I blocked out. So yeah, so it was difficult to push yourself through those hard times. But I think because I have a bit of awkwardness in those situations by saying, I felt like, I felt like if I cancelled my counsellor, she'd be offended. A bit like, if you tell your hairdresser that your hair's shit, they're going to be offended. So it was that kind of dynamic where I was a bit like, I'm just going to keep going. But I'm glad I kept going because it is a journey. It's a real journey and you go through ups and downs. And I'm glad I'm kind of through the hard bit and I'm going I'm like on the hill now, going back up, and up and up and up and up and up. So yeah, it's been difficult to motivate myself, but I think just having that personality has just helped me. This is a really good question. How did I overcome my fear of feeling judged when seeking a therapist? So yeah, it's a very, very brave, courageous thing to admit that you need help and admit that you want to find a therapist. But I actually think that's so strong. Like, it takes such a strong person to admit that, and courageous and brave, and honestly, like, I actually think it's so inspiring when someone's like, actually, hold my hands up, I need help now. And I think that's a great thing, and I think it's amazing that we have that, and I think it's amazing that I'm here now being like, guys, I needed help, I had to get help, and it's a great thing that I've done for myself. I'm so happy that I've done that for myself. So I do feel good that I've done that for me. But yeah, overcoming that fear of feeling judged. I think for me personally, because I had close friends that have had therapy before and they were open with talking about it to me, it made it that bit easier. And then for my friends that, I didn't really talk about mental health in that way, I don't know, like, I think it's such a brave and courageous thing to admit that you need help. And I think because you've done that, I think that fear of being judged goes, because I feel like you feel quite powerful. Maybe that's just me. But don't get me wrong, it's scary. Going to that first session is petrifying. And also, I actually did think in the start of my journey that I was going to be judged by my therapist. I was so worried, like, I'm going to tell her some insane family stories here, and she's going to be like, what? or laugh at me, or I don't know, be so gobsmacked you can't say anything. I don't know. Or judge me and have this way of thinking like, oh my God, look, you went through that, like. But that was all in my head. This fear of being judged is all in your own head, and it's just you being super critical of yourself. Counsellors and therapists do not judge. It's not how they work. They are there to listen to you. They are a judge-free zone. And honestly, it feels amazing to be able to talk to somebody that's so neutral and that won't judge you at all. At all. They won't even blink. They won't even look a certain way. They just stay so neutral. And it actually makes it more comfortable for you to open up. So I do think, in this whole situation for me, like, I've never really been an open book. I've kept stuff to my chest. But actually, the more I'm on this journey of therapy, I am being a bit more honest and open with my feelings with people. And I've only actually really noticed that in the last kind of month or so, where I'm starting to really be a bit more open and a bit more honest, and I'm opening up to people. I'm saying things that I'm like, I would never have said those things before. They're the sorts of things I'll say in my head, but I won't say out loud. But I'm saying them out loud now, which is a great thing. And I think it's just being more comfortable with being open. And doing therapy has helped with that for me. So a few of you have actually asked this question, and I actually don't know why I didn't say it, but am I worried about my family seeing my YouTube mental health series videos? So I actually asked my mum's permission before I did these videos, because I didn't want to jeopardize our relationship. I didn't want to, I didn't want to cause any drama or any upset. So I did ask her permission, and she was absolutely fine. And which is why I've gone ahead and I've done this YouTube series. If she wasn't comfortable, I would not have done it. But because she was comfortable, I started doing them. And it's funny, I sit here and I think, I wonder who is watching these videos. It's not really a thought that goes through my head until the other day. And it's really interesting. I don't think I realised who would watch these videos, because obviously I'm sat here on my own. I feel like no one's actually watching this right now, but you are. But yeah, I had a hope that my mum would watch these videos, because it's kind of giving her a bit more of an insight into my feelings, the way that I am, and my journey with therapy. And it's a little bit easier, I think, for her to watch a video on it than me to sit in front of her. Because obviously we're not used to that. I know some of my siblings watch these videos. I know my sisters have mentioned things to me about the videos and offered more insight, which is amazing, because obviously they have lived in my family, in the household, in the dynamic. And it's interesting when I mention something, their thought or opinion on that situation. So that's been interesting, seeing it from, because obviously we've all had our own experience of living in my house, growing up. We've all had a different experience and a different relationship with our mum, different relationship with each other. It's crazy that so many relationships can go on in a household. So it's really interesting hearing their opinions. And then, I've had a lot of friends message me about it, saying, that I'm doing a really courageous thing, really positive thing, which has been amazing. So I'm super grateful. I'm super grateful for everybody watching these videos. I'm really grateful for, old friends watching these videos and actually learning about me and actually things clicking. Like, I've actually had a few messages from some old friends that have actually been like, I remember you used to say you felt left out, or you used to say these things. So it's so interesting now that hopefully maybe this just gives a bit more clarity on why I was the way I was, because I didn't really know why I was like that back then. I didn't know why I felt left out. I didn't know why I, acted certain ways when I was younger. I now know now, and it's clearer for me. So I hope it can be clearer for them, and they've learned more about me, more about my background. Because to be honest with you, I didn't really open up about my mum that much. I used to be embarrassed talking about it, because I knew no one else had a situation like it. Well, not many people talk about things like this. This is the thing. It's not spoken about enough for people to speak about it. So I really hope me being open to you guys about my experience now is going to help you be open too. Because you don't want to feel alone, and it's nice to have support from your family or friends. So yeah, I really do hope this video has just kind of given clarity on my personality and has helped people understand me a bit better. Because, you know, I over the years, I've never ever done anything in like a horrible way. I've never thought badly of anyone, like on purpose. Like, I didn't realise where these feelings have come from. But now I do, and yeah, it's made things a lot clearer for me. Okay, so top 3 things that I do on a daily basis to help my mental health. I think this is a great question because of our current circumstances. So, top 3 things. Okay, so number 1, for me personally, I try to not get stressed. I'm really, really trying my hardest to just take things a little bit at a slower pace and to not get myself stressed. Don't worry, like I try and think, right, it doesn't matter how long this takes. What matters is I'm doing it well, and I'm doing it the best I can do. You know, I might be filming a video or something, and I might be looking at the clock and getting stressed because I want to have lunch, or I've got to take the dogs out for a walk, or, you know, those things stress me out. So I'm just trying now to just breathe, take things slow, it doesn't matter. And take things a bit easier. So that's number 1 for me, is not getting stressed, and I'm not clock watching. I'm kind of turn my phone on airplane mode sometimes. That really helps. Number 2 is daily walks. Now, I might be, you know, busy with work or running around the house doing house bits, but I always force myself to go on a daily walk. I have the dogs to take anyway, so it really does help having them to force me to get out, because sometimes I could probably just lock myself away filming on emails on my computer all day, and it's 10 o'clock and then I've just forgotten to go out. But me and Robin have forced ourselves now. We go on daily walks, and we go on long walks as well. So we walk the dogs separately so we can walk longer. And going on those long walks is really, really helpful for mental health, because we're off our phones, we're taking in nature, we're breathing in the fresh air, and yeah, me and Robin talk. We have like proper deep discussions about things. It might be work, it might just be feelings, it might be the future, just random stuff, and it's just quite nice to just talk. And number 3 is, if I am in a situation where I feel negative feelings overcoming me, then I stop. I take myself away from the situation. Or if I can't take myself away from the situation, I just stop and I think in my head, and I ask myself, why am I feeling like this? What is it about this situation that has made me feel this way? What feelings am I feeling right now? Is it anxiety? Is it I feel embarrassed? Is it awkwardness? Is it, you know, what am I feeling? Where is it coming from? Right. And then I try and turn that negative feeling into a positive. And then I get on with my day. So the key thing for me is stop. Just stop what you're doing. And I really try and do that on a daily basis now. If there's something that's, you know, not quite sitting right, I just stop and just reflect. And that is really helping me grow and on this journey of therapy and my mental health. Okay, final question is how to deal with a mother you're keeping at arm's length. Now, this is something I have done for a few years. Don't be ashamed. If you feel like your relationship with your mum or someone in your family or a friend is not quite sitting right with you, they're making you feel certain ways that you don't feel comfortable feeling, and you need to keep somebody at arm's length, then please do that for yourself, and please do that for your own mental health. It's so important, and you deserve to not feel those negative feelings every day. You don't want to go through life feeling those feelings every day. So if you need to keep someone at arm's length, please do. Do not be ashamed of doing it. I think personally for me, I try and set boundaries, maybe not vocalizing those boundaries to that other person, but in your own head, you set yourself boundaries. And one thing for me that helped was not giving too much away. Don't open up too much. Don't give that person ammunition, if that's kind of the dynamic of the situation, the relationship. So I would personally just not really open up about much stuff. That helped me when I kept my mum at arm's length. And also, set boundaries, and because I feel like that just gives you a little bit more control over the situation. And I feel like if you're in a little bit more control over the situation, then that person's not going to feel like they're controlling you, which I know a lot of the time that's the kind of dynamic that I've seen in a lot of the comments on YouTube from many of you guys who've had similar relationships to me and my mum, is you don't want to give that control away. That for me was a big thing. So I try and set boundaries in my own head and not give too much away. And that's kind of what worked for me. And also, if that you stumble upon a situation where you are uncomfortable, maybe it's going to lead into an argument or something, then for me what worked was just step back, take a few days away, stay off your phone, block their number, like do whatever you need to do to just stay away and let you work things out yourself in your own head before it just blowing up. And that's another thing that kind of helped me when I would keep my mum at kind of arm's length. Obviously this is like back in the day, because at the moment it's all going great and it's all fine. But yeah, back in the day, if I'd ever feel kind of uncomfortable, I would try and just, give myself a couple of days to just work things out. And also like get rid of that anger, because there'd always be just too much anger. And then it would just blow up. So yeah, it's not great when a situation like that blows up with your mum, because you're always the one left feeling worse off, I find. That was, my personal experience anyway. But yeah, not really a nice way to end the video, but I'm going to end it there. And yeah, if anyone's got any more questions, then please comment below. I will do my best at answering them and getting back to you. Thank you so much for watching another episode. I really hope this has been insightful. Again, please don't forget that I've popped links below and phone numbers below if you are struggling and it's an emergency. I've also popped the link below to that counselling directory if you are thinking about seeking help and finding a counsellor. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I'll see you guys in another video very, very soon. Peace out.